In the 90s, I worked as a security guard, and one of the businesses that contracted us was the local hospital. On top of the usual drunks and addicts, we were also responsible for checking the guest list in the morgue. Every 2 hours, we were to go through the drawers and the meat locker and check each guest's toe tag against an inventory sheet to make sure everyone was always accounted for. I worked the night shift there for almost 2 months, and nothing weird happened, except for a call button that liked to go off in an empty room. But that could have been a mechanical problem. On what ended up being my last night there, I had a college interview in the morning, so I had to get off work a half hour early. I always made my morgue check at straight up the hour, but because I was leaving early, I did my last check of the night a half hour early as well. Like most hospitals, the morgue was in the basement, and the acoustics down there were such that every sound echoed slightly. I got off the elevator and started down the long hall to the morgue, my footsteps echoing as I walked. I started hearing what sounded like people talking, which was nothing unusual in itself. Late night arrivals and attendants working late were commonplace. But this sounded different. The voices, especially the couple of laughs I heard, I can still hear the laughs, had a hollow, kind of distant quality to them, and there were more than a few of them. I was officially creeped out. As I got 25 to 30 feet from the morgue, I heard a man say, "He's coming," and an old woman respond, "He's early." I quickened my pace as I heard a hurried commotion and mumbled voices and gave a shout on my walkie for backup in the morgue. I burst into the morgue not knowing what to expect, and there was no one there. I looked in all the rooms, under and behind all the furniture, nothing. Then I saw it. Lying on the floor by the drawers was a toe tag. I started opening the drawers, expecting to catch someone hiding in some of them, and found no one but the guest. The third one I opened ended up being the owner of the orphan toe tag. 3 other guards came down, and we did a full search of the whole floor, and found no one. What freaked me out though, was I had been checking the bodies all night. Some had been here a couple of days, and so I kind of knew what body was where. When I did my search of the drawers, almost half of them were in the wrong ones. I quit that day. I got this great job working at the hospital. I really get to do something I enjoy. Taking care of others has always been a passion. I work on one of the hardest floors, the cancer floor. We always have the same patients, and not a whole lot of them make it. This makes my job hard in a lot of ways. Anyways, I have seen my share of death since I started here. I work the night shift. Well, at night, it can be a little creepy when you have to go to the morgue. One night, myself and a coworker were taking someone down to the morgue. Now let me explain. Our morgue is a little freezer box that is in the basement and smells horrible. Plus, it has a ramp to get into it. So she and I wheel the body down there, and we push it up the ramp. And then we argue over who is going to push the body in. Of course, I lose, so I swing the freezer door open, push in the body, and slam the door shut. We start to fill out our paperwork when we both look up at each other. She says, "Did you hear that?" I said, "I think so." We both turn around and look at the door. We both get cold chills, and the hair on our arms stands straight up. "Help," We froze, looked at each other, and ran out. Halfway down the hall, she asked if I really heard what she did. Yeah, I did, I tell her. So I was telling one of my friends who is a nurse on our floor also the story. She tells me that she has had similar things happen to her in the morgue also. To this day, I will not go alone and try to get out of going at all. We also have a tradition on our floor that when someone passes away, we open the window so the soul of that person is not trapped in the hospital to roam. I'm not making this up. It truly happened. If you don't believe me, I don't care. I know, and so does everyone else who works here. I have been an embalmer for well over 30 years and have become a little passive to events of the supernatural nature within the walls of funeral homes or even cemeteries. Occasionally, an event will occur that causes one of those moments. One such event occurred about 8 years ago. I had taken into the funeral home's care an elderly lady, I'd say somewhere around mid-80s. I had received permission from the family when I picked her up from her place of death to proceed with embalming. My usual practice is to place the left hand over the right so as to allow the wedding band to show if they were married. Anyway, the next afternoon I was preparing the lady to be dressed and casketed. As was my usual practice, I placed a towel over her hands and used them as a resting place to steady my elbow while I placed lipstick on her with a small brush. To say that I was startled when she switched her right hand to the top position directly beneath my elbow is an understatement. I removed the towel to confirm that she had indeed switched her hands. But how? And she had been embalmed for over 24 hours. A day or so later, there was another embalmer with me in the prep room, and we were both embalming new cases. The discussion turned to me sharing with him about the lady switching her hands. As he shared his thoughts about the hand switch and mentioned a few odd experiences of his own, a pack of unopened plastic trays was literally thrown across the room from atop a storage locker. We both stopped our task to investigate and looked at each other. There was absolutely no other person in the prep room, and the plastic trays didn't just fall. They were thrown from the top of the locker in a straight line trajectory and landed a good 20 feet from the locker. A minute or so later, we retrieved the trays, placed them back on the locker, and returned to our task. We never mentioned the event again. The trays remained there for months until they were opened and used.